let's do this, all right, all together now. All right, so let's go ahead and let's rattle off what we are hearing. All right. So now here is the latest.
Number 1.
From Vinny Bonsignor, that Deion Sanders has interest in the Raiders head coaching vacancy. All right. So that is, according to Vinny Bonsignor, that people close to Deion Sanders says that he has expressed interest in the Raiders head coaching job. Okay. All right. I mean, that's, hey. I mean, look, I'd love to see Deion coach at the NFL level. I mean, you could say whatever you want about the guy. He's had success everywhere he's gone. He may not win a national title at Colorado, but he has turned around a program. He does bring some energy, some buzz, and he has started a little bit of a trend where former players are now like, hey, I think I could do that. So Deion has put the time in, and that is the first of these stories. Now on to number 2.
Number 2.
That Tom Brady has been pushing for Ben Johnson's agent to convince his client to want to take an interview for the Raiders head coaching job. That Tom Brady is very interested in Ben Johnson as a coach. He's intrigued by the idea of having Ben Johnson as the coach there in Las Vegas. And so Tom Brady has really been pushing for Ben Johnson to get the gig. So that is number 2. Next up, and the final one, number 3.
Number 3.
That apparently Bill Belichick and Tom Brady reuniting in Vegas, not quite there yet. Doesn't mean it's a no, but that their relationship, according to Mike Florio and his sources, is not at the point to where it's totally repaired to where those two could work together. But as you can see, a lot of buzz around the Raiders head coaching job, right? A lot of buzz there. Like, you've got Belichick as a possibility, although him and Brady got to work on their relationship. You got Tom Brady being very intrigued by Ben Johnson, who's maybe the hottest candidate on the open market. And then you've got Deion Sanders having real interest in the Raiders head coaching job, according to Vinny Bonsignor. So all of those 3, greatest coach of all time, hottest prospect in the NFL, and the most popular and talked about name maybe anywhere in football when it comes to a head coach, all of which are tied in some way to the Raiders head coaching job. And it begs one question. Why? I don't get it.
What do we do that for?
I don't get it. Look.
The greatness of the Raiders.
Listen, it's not a knock on the history of the Raiders organization. I've said it from day one. The Autumn Wind is maybe the greatest song in the history of sports. There's some other candidates out there, but as far as team songs, The Autumn Wind is tremendous. But The Autumn Wind, as of late, has been like, some guy cutting a fart on a subway. Like, it just hasn't really been anything close to representative of what the history of the organization is.
This is a week of devastation for me.
Week? How about a couple of decades, Al? I mean, it's been, look, but here's and just talking as far as right now, present day with the Raiders. Like, why, if you're looking around at other opportunities and other situations in the NFL, almost all of them have something to offer in the way of a plan at quarterback, like something that's there over the next several years. Like, you can not be a believer in Caleb Williams and also acknowledge that, like, yeah, but like he did show some stuff there to where you look at it and go, all right, I could work with that. I could build around that. Like, people will make you think that he was way worse than he actually was, and then you start doing like the side-by-side between him and Jaden Daniels, and you go, oh, I see what happens here. You know, media likes one, they play in favor. Okay, I got it. Got it. Fair enough. But like, there's at least something there. You go over like the Patriots. You go over, you look at Drake May, and you go, hey, he showed you something. Like there's at least like you look at the Raiders, and I go, the Jags have Trevor Lawrence, and say what you want about him, but at least there's kind of like a plan. With the Raiders, it's what? And it's why I said, look, I think Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco should have both been given another year, personally. Because I don't know what you were expecting with that team in that division with the moves that you made in recent years. I really don't know what you were expecting, honest to God. I don't get it. Like, Derek Carr was a serviceable quarterback. And bordering on good at times. And you couldn't wait to get rid of him. Okay, for what? Like, what was the plan? No, I just have to get out of that contract. Got to move on from it. Okay. And then what? Like, Devontae Adams, you ruined that because you brought him in. He was thinking, okay, I'm going to be here and I'm going to play with my best friend and this is going to be great and all that. And I, love it. And he's like, and then you move on from Derek Carr and you kind of, sever that relationship with Devontae Adams. Josh Jacobs was a very good running back, still a very good running back. You couldn't pay him. You decided there was no value in that, and he has since gone on to have a Pro Bowl year and a monster year for the Packers and going to be a key ingredient to if they have success in the postseason. Like, there's just been several moves out there that they've made that I don't know how you were expecting better results, especially in that division. And that was before Jim Harbaugh signed on to be coach of the Chargers and Bo Nix turned out to be a really good rookie quarterback and having a promising future. That was before that. Like, there was a window of opportunity there for the Raiders where, yeah, you had Patrick Mahomes, but, man, the Chargers couldn't figure it out. Like, there were people talking about Justin Herbert being a bust and they paid him too soon, and you had Brandon Staley. Like, you remember when Denver went out and got Russell Wilson? It was called one of the worst moves in the history of the NFL and all this. Like, there was an opportunity. Like, there was a window there. Like, you could have had Jim Harbaugh as your coach. Like, he was interested. That was one of his interested spots. Like, the Raiders and the Bears. The Bears drafted him. The Raiders is where he started his coaching career. Like, that was there. They didn't do it. And, like, I like Mark Davis. I think he's fun for the league. I like the fact that the Raiders are in Vegas. Like, you go to that, like, they've really rallied around that team and that franchise. It's awesome. But there have been so many moves over the past few years that you look at and go, so what were you expecting to happen on the back end of that? And when you've got all of these names that are out there, like, hey, Belichick, maybe in Vegas. Okay, what's the plan at quarterback? Hey, Ben Johnson, maybe in Vegas. Okay, what's the plan at quarterback? Hey, Deion Sanders might have some serious interest in the Raiders job. Okay, what's the plan at quarterback? Why? Are they trading up? Are they making a move? Like, is there... Like, Antonio Pierce said it last year. Like, yeah, he wanted Jaden Daniels. That was his want. Like, he coached him. He knew the kid. He wanted Jaden Daniels. Obviously, Washington wasn't going to trade out of that. Okay, but could you have made a move up in the draft elsewhere? Like, Michael Penix Jr. was there. Bo Nix was there. J.J. McCarthy was there. Look, that's why I threw out the idea of, like, hey, man, maybe if Sam Darnold lights it up in the postseason and the Vikings decide to stick with him long term, maybe you make a move and you bring in J.J. McCarthy. But there's all of these other moves that have to be made in order for you to go, okay, now we have a clear understanding as to what's happening. But how do you have any faith in that organization making those moves when you've got a succession of moves they've made over the past few years that we know of that have not worked out? So it's just kind of odd that, like, all of these names are being thrown out there and tied to the Raiders, and I'm looking at it going, like, what do you have to offer? Like, you need in that division? Now, you can say whatever you want about the Jaguars job. Man, that's a winnable division. It ain't like Houston's the same Houston from a year ago, and they won it. Like, you could say whatever you want about the Bears. Like, there's a lot of talent there. They just, they got to fix an O-line, but there's, like, real talent. Like, you can look around the NFL and you can see of these openings, man, that's a good roster. They got this, they got that to offer. And, like, you look at the Raiders and go, I just don't know what the plan is. I don't know what the appeal would be other than we got rid of head coach and GM, and you can build it exactly how you want, and we're going to give you enough wiggle room to try and do it. Other than that, I just don't know what the plan is at quarterback.